Hey guys, my name is Jesse Labbe. Thanks for swinging by this Kickstarter page. I wanted to say a few years back that a buddy and myself came up with a series of books called Barona's War. And one of the things about the book is when we sold it at conventions is a ton of you came up to us and asked what game does it go to, where can I get the game, or you gotta make a game with it. And the truth is it never became a game, nor was it going to be, but we liked that idea of having a game with this type of artwork and these types of characters. So we put our heads together and we came up with a game called Hares. When I was younger, my friends and I would play these types of games, board games, for hours. We played games like Screaming Eagles and Fireball Island, Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark. We played just tons of these types of board games where you have a somewhat a trail-based path and you move your character from point A to point B. You know, looking back, Fireball Island specifically was a game I absolutely loved. And I remember it being the greatest thing ever. But the truth is, if I were to play that game today, it probably wouldn't be half as good as I remembered it. So what I wanted to do is take the way I remembered that game and make this game, Hares, with that same feel. Hares is a trail-based board game, which seems pretty rare these days. And that's the type of game where your character has a set path that he has to go down to get to the end of the game. And typically it's, first player there wins. On this trail, there are several things that a player can come across that will change the game. If there's your stronghold card, these are the cards that a player holds in his hands and can play them to advance himself or to hurt the opponent. There is a testing ground card. Most of these are negative, have a negative effect on the player landing on them. And then finally there's an event card, and these are the type of cards that affect everybody. What's great about all these cards is they are what allow the game to change every time you play it. Because depending on your location, the number you roll, and just who's around you in general, that will change the outcome of the same card during the same game. Another aspect of the game is an adventure card. This, I think, is going to be most of the players' favorite part of the game. One of the reasons for that is because it's going to be rare. A player has to roll a specific combination of numbers while in a specific zone on the board to get a specific adventure. This means you could play the game 2 or 3 times and never come across one particular adventure. There's 10 of them in total. And each of these cards, they're games within games, they're little mini games. So if you come across one specific adventure, it might pull all the players into it and let them all do this little mini game throughout the duration. And then another one might just affect the player that's going on that adventure. So he could walk out of it with extra cards in his hands or extra tokens or whatever it may be. And then you could have a negative. You could have a player who rolls the wrong combination during an adventure and he ends up getting punished for it. So I think this aspect right there, these adventures are going to pull a lot of players into the game every time one is discovered. And I can't talk about the changes of the cards without talking about the actual outcome of the game. There's something that was added to this game after the demo phase where the ending itself, it's not always as simple as first player there wins. First player to land to the final space of the board, it's not quite over yet. They now have to roll the dice to see what outcome is in that final space. So that in itself can change every time because a player doesn't quite know how to prep for that. This brings me to the characters of the game. This is the RPG aspect of Hares. It's a 4-player game with 6 characters to choose from, and one of the biggest reasons for this, in a lot of the games that we played when we were younger, you roll the dice, see who goes first, and that player picks his character first. The last player always seems to get stuck with the one guy nobody wanted, and it just seemed a little lopsided. So even if you're the last player to choose a character, you get 3 guys to choose from, so you still have good choices. What makes choosing your character fun is that each character not only has their own original artwork and backstory, but they have certain specialties and items and abilities to make that character unique. And 2 players could use the same type character in 2 completely different ways. I have a friend who does not he has a serious problem with harming other players during a game. It's just not the way he plays. So he could use the same character that I would use, but he might unlock a map or intel that lets his character travel quicker. As if I use that same character, I might unlock my gun or grenades that could hurt other players instead of helping myself. So you have options for the same exact characters that could be played different ways. So I wanted it to be as beautiful as it was fun. And I knew the mechanics were feeling really good. They were smooth. The game was fun, so I didn't want to just slap something rushed on top of it. I used some traditional things, like for the board itself, I actually drew out each piece like a giant jigsaw puzzle, and I used marker and watercolor pencils and watercolor, and then I scanned that in, and then I added the details and digital work on top of that. So what you're looking at when you see the board is an actual piece of art. You know, when you're looking at a card in the game, what you're looking at is, you know, you could spend a lot of time on one piece, and then to watch somebody demoing it, look at it for literally 2 seconds and be like, oh, I gotta move back, and then they put the card in the discard pile, and I think, you know, wow, that was time well spent. At the end of the day, I hope it was well worth it. So anyway, that's a brief breakdown of Crosshairs, and I just wanted you to know this isn't something that was just thrown together last night, that I've been working on this title for some time now. And now it's got the attention of Dana Lombardi over at 1A Games, and this will be his second major title. So together, we are no longer talking about board games. We're already, you know, in the works of some expansion packs and boosters and comics and books and apps, and they're really wanting to take this, you know, to a much higher level. And with your help, we're hoping we could do that. We have some really cool stretch goals and some cool pledges, and I think my real goal here is to get y'all as excited about this property as I am. And I could appreciate anything you do. Thank you.